What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandom Talk presented by Fandoms Anonymous. We're back again with you all this week. Glad to be here. Always glad to be here. I got my guys on my phone. My brothers, we're here this morning. Got my man Kevin Garlington from Hubster Photography. What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, what's up? Happy to be here.
And I got my man Jeremy Branch from Be Terrible Productions. What's going on, Jeremy?
What's up, guys? Just to show my age real quick, celebrating my 10-year anniversary with me and Victoria, so that's crazy. It's definitely doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's a good day, so I'm excited to talk some movie news.
That's awesome, man. Congratulations. 10 years is a long time.
Appreciate it.
10 years is a very long time. Today actually happens to be the anniversary of me proposing to my wife. So
really?
That's how we have it. Yeah. May 31st, I proposed to my wife.
Look at that.
So
crazy.
We definitely got some stuff going on today. Let's go ahead and jump right into the topic. First of all, it's a topic. You guys might have already seen it. It came across my eye view, whatever you want to call it. When Mark Hamill got the script for Luke Skywalker, he stated that he disagreed with everything that the director or the writer was doing with his character of Luke Skywalker. That blew my mind. It was almost like, Mark Hamill, it's such a strong statement, to come out and say that you totally disagree with everything that you was doing with the character. And my guys here, they're the big Star Wars buffs. I've watched a couple of the Star Wars movies and seen a couple of things, and I've learned a lot from them over the years. And when I saw that, it blew me away. It was like, wow, does this jeopardize the movie? But as I continued to read the article, I see how Mark Hamill is a team player, and he went ahead and went along with going on and continuing as far as the script is concerned. Kevin, I'm going to start with you. What did you think about when you saw this article?
I'm not surprised. Mark Hamill, while he will forever be Luke Skywalker, and he is, a beloved person inside our community, he's always been honest and truthful about how he feels about certain things. And if you ever listen to any of his interviews from the beginning all the way on up, Mark Hamill is very cool position, if you will, because Mark Hamill will eat and be taken care of for the rest of his life because he's Luke Skywalker. He can go to any convention, anywhere, charge what he wants for autographs and do whatever. Plus, his voiceover work, his IMDb page is so long with voiceover work that Mark Hamill is good. He's not a young actor who needs to play the game with the studio, if you will. Now, I'm not saying he's trying to tank the movie or whatever. Mark Hamill's just one of those rare birds in Hollywood that's going to sit down and he's going to be honest with you in the interview. So while he's saying, I fundamentally disagree with the script and everything, yeah, I did the movie, it's still up to us to decide or not whether or not we like it or we on Mark's side or what. So that's kind of my take on what Mark is talking about.
Jeremy, what's your thoughts on it?
So, yeah, Mark Hamill is one of those guys that is super candid. When he does interviews, exactly like Kevin said, the dude says what's on his mind. And, in fact, that's what I've always kind of loved about the cast of Star Wars in general. You read interviews with Carrie Fisher, you read interviews with Harrison Ford, and they're just straight up, like, they thought the first movie that they were making was just going to end up being a joke, essentially. It just caught all of them off guard at what a success the thing had became. Harrison Ford notoriously didn't like the fact that he had to survive through Empire Strikes Back. He wanted to die, so he finally got his wish like 30 years later. But I think the fact that Mark Hamill disagrees with the treatment of Rian Johnson probably implies that Rian Johnson's doing something drastically different with the character, and that, just the potential of that is exciting.
Most definitely. Like I said, when I came across this, I was like, I can't believe he said it, but you guys made a very valid point of how, Kevin, you said he's very candid, and he's going to tell the truth when he's in an interview. The next thing we want to jump on is the surprising, but not so surprising, results and reviews and the love and adoration that Wonder Woman is getting now. I did say it was going to be a good movie. I did say, based on the trailers and what I saw, I felt like it was going to be the turnaround for the DCEU, and it looks like those is coming to fruition for everybody when it comes to Wonder Woman. I'm seeing it is getting a high praise. It is even getting a high praise on Rotten Tomatoes. And we know how critical Rotten Tomatoes is when it comes to movies, especially what we've seen from DCEU so far. I'm excited for this movie. I'm going to check it out Thursday night for the pre-screening or the first night it comes out. I'm ready for Wonder Woman. So, Jeremy, what's your thoughts on the Wonder Woman reviews coming out so far?
Can we roll the tape back to about 6 episodes ago when I was bashing the whole potential of any of these movies being any good, and just scratch that from the record? Man, that's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. A lot of the just because I'm not totally getting off this train is a lot of the things that I've heard. It's the best movie in the DCEU. And that's not a real tall hill to climb, if you will. But I've also heard a lot of praise about it. Most everybody's saying it's fun, the performances are good, the chemistry's there, the action's great. Even if I heard that it wasn't that good of a movie, I'd still go because, as we've touched on before, it's important, for a lot of reasons. But Patty Jenkins is already talking about a sequel, and it's such a good thing. I don't know what it speaks on the future of the DCEU. I don't know that it means the next movie is going to be a success or the one after that. And I think one of the real important factors to keep in mind about Wonder Woman is that it was able to be its own story. It wasn't beholden to all of this other stuff that's been established in current time in the DCEU. So we'll just have to see how things go moving forward. But hell yeah, I'm excited about going to check it out.
What about you, Kevin?
I'm excited, just like you guys are. We talked extensively about the importance of this film and what it means to us and to the ladies out there. And it's going to do gangbusters, and I'm glad to see that the DCEU has what critics would consider, a hit. And it's just great to kind of go along with that.
Yeah.
I think that we need to sit back and take a look at this and say, okay, and go in and be objective and say, I'm not going in there looking for this movie to suck or anything, but I'm going to go in there and judge this movie based off its merits. I'm not going to take it easy on this movie because the DCEU has had such a horrible time and this and that or whatever. I'm not going to go in there and give it some sympathy. Wonder Woman is a wonderful, strong, intricate part of DC Comics. And I'm not going to do her a disservice by going in there and having sympathy. I'm going in there looking for a good movie. And it seems like they've delivered that. And it shouldn't be, and I'm only saying that because Jeremy's echoing what has been said out here in the media is that, okay, this is the best DCEU movie. Okay, that's not a tall hill to climb. And I want to be able to say, hey, this is a great superhero movie. This is amongst the top of what we got. So I'm hoping it rises to that occasion and it does that. But I'm not going to take it easy on it. And if it sucks, I'm going to come on the show next week and tell you it sucks. But if it's great, I think it's crazy. But I'm not a DC or Marvel sympathizer in any part of it. If it sucks, it sucks. So I'm looking forward to it, though. I think it's going to be great, and then we'll all get together after we watch it and see what happens.
Most definitely. The next thing we want to jump on is Jeremy with the weekend box office. Take it away, Jeremy.
Bum, bum, bum. Kind of a crazy weekend. A lot of the stuff that we expected to come in first obviously did, but then okay, so let me get to the Alien Covenant thing in a minute. But number 5 is Everything, and it came in with $6 million. Number 4, Alien Covenant with $10,614,000. Baywatch opened at 18.5, $18,503,000. Guardians of the Galaxy pulled in another almost $21 million. And then number 1, no surprise to anybody, Pirates of the Caribbean pulled in $63 million, essentially. So some pretty obvious ones. Again, number 1, I don't think anybody's surprised about. I don't think that domestically it's done as well as the ones in the past. I think they've actually pretty much dropped off every additional one that they do gangbusters overseas. Guardians of the Galaxy, still crushing it, still making a ton of money. But the thing is, Alien Covenant dropped off 70.6% in its second week, which is like one of the worst drop-offs ever. It might be like the worst drop-off of a summer movie of all time, which is crazy to me because word of mouth wasn't bad. It didn't seem like people overwhelmingly loved it, but at the same time, it wasn't a movie that was, panned or something like that. So I do think it's interesting. Maybe there's not as big of an Alien fan base as people thought they were, and it's just one of those things that people really don't want to revisit after seeing so many crappy ones. But I was shocked to see that, so that's the big one to me. And then I heard that Baywatch is garbage. I don't know. I haven't checked that one out yet, but I heard that critically it's getting bashed pretty bad.
Yeah, I saw the definitely horrible reviews that it was getting. One thing about The Rock is he will stand behind his movies. And somebody tweeted out, the bad reviews, and Rock said, hold on, brother, don't worry. We still got some international markets to hit in. And what you have to realize is that Baywatch is a treasure when it comes to those international markets. David Hasselhoff was like a god to them, David Hasselhoff, wherever country that's in, they love David Hasselhoff. So, Kevin, what's your take?
Well, I want to talk about Alien Covenant here with Jeremy being our resident horror expert. And I looked at a comparison between Prometheus and Alien Covenant. It was an 11-day comparison. There's about a $30 to $35 million, if I'm not mistaken, difference in where the movies are domestically right now. Alien Covenant is sitting at about $160 million worldwide. At this point, I think Prometheus was, over the $200 million mark worldwide.
Wow.
Anyway. So, Jeremy, what do you think? I mean, have you seen Alien Covenant?
No, I have not.
Okay, and that's fine, because my thing is we can talk about this in terms of just how the public is viewing these movies, not necessarily the movie itself.
Sure.
What do you think? Like, what do you think is the reason for the diminishing box office returns from the Alien franchise?
So, it's an interesting question because I think what a lot of people, including the studio, felt is that Prometheus needed to be tied more closely to the Alien franchise. It didn't have the word alien in the title. There were no xenomorphs in the movie. If I'm not mistaken, Prometheus is sitting at like a 73, maybe a little bit higher on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not a bad score. A lot of people, of course, they do that thing they always do where they're like, it's no alien, it's no aliens, so it's not very good. Did you see Prometheus?
I did, and I'm actually one of those people that likes the movie itself, but I have a couple of viewpoints on why I think this movie isn't doing so well.
All right, so we'll get to that, but yes. So I saw Prometheus. Yeah. I also enjoyed it. It does have two really drastically different tones. Like the first two-thirds of the movie, first two acts of the movie are almost like 2001 Space Odyssey, and then it kind of goes in the more traditional horror direction. But anyways, the critics seem pretty divided on it, despite the fact that most people pretty much liked it. This time around, and David Lindelof wrote Prometheus, which means that there were a lot of open-ended questions that I wasn't even sure that they had answers for at the time. So what they essentially did is they brought back Ridley Scott again, but they were like, you need to make an alien movie. People want to see an alien movie. So he threw an alien in there for the diehard fans, and I think that the general public, they feel burned from AVP and AVP Requiem and all these other, like, just subpar movies that they've seen probably since they were kids. So I just don't think the love for the franchise is still there. But what were you thinking?
I'm with you on that. And while the AVP films were just dumb popcorn fun to see people get killed or whatever, it took away from the Alien and the Predator lore, if you will.
Sure.
So a lot of things I'm hearing about this movie. I have not seen this movie yet either, so this is not necessarily a spoiler. They're just saying there are a lot of questions that don't get answered in this Alien Covenant movie. And there's also some problems with continuity. Continuity is shot in this franchise.
Sure.
And I think in today's world, we live in a continuity crazy culture. You know, and I think that when you brought Ridley Scott back the first time and said, we're doing the Alien prequel, first of all, you look at the press conferences from Prometheus, you look at it, Ridley Scott was changing like the wind. Oh, it's going to have an alien in it. Oh, it just has a little bit of this. Oh, it's in the same universe as this or that. He kept changing his answers. Then if you go back, the marketing campaigns for these movies, while I do like them, they're going to throw people off. There are 2 or 3 featurettes for Alien Covenant that are 5 minutes long a piece that give you some backstory on some characters, answer questions from Prometheus, but they're not part of the film. So I guess say, hey, for you guys that like Prometheus or need more information, you can watch this on YouTube, and then you can go in and watch the movie or whatever.
But how the hell are normal audiences even supposed to know about that, you know?
That's my point. I think they made a mistake with that. So guys like I and Malcolm, who travel on this road here, we get it. We'll see it. It's going to make its way across our desk. But for people that's regular moviegoers, they have no clue on on how to get this information on what's going on. I think that you had the whole excited when Prometheus came out. You said Ridley Scott is coming back to this franchise. Everybody was excited. He delivered this movie that left way more questions than it gave answers. Now the reviews are coming in, people are saying, hey, the same thing happened in this film. The third act of this movie feels like it's from a different film, is one thing I've heard critics say, and they've also said it does not answer all the questions from Prometheus. That's what I'm hearing. Now, sometimes I watch a movie and I get answers to the questions, but they may not be so brazen where they just hit you over the head. So I don't want to say it doesn't answer the question. Clearly, that's the answer to that question right there, and somebody else could have missed it. So I'm going to say this. When you're writing something and when you're doing something, use it. So with Ridley Scott and all this imagery and God and space G and stuff he likes to do, it goes to people's heads. And that's why Alien and Aliens are great films, because it's an isolation horror movie with a monster that you just cannot kill easily. Plain and simple.
Most definitely. The next thing that we want to jump into is an article that came out about the future of this Sony Spider-Verse. And one thing that they mentioned was something that me and Kevin had just recently talked about, was we wanted a Kraven the Hunter in a movie, real-life, live-action Kraven the Hunter. And what we got from this article was that they're going to do the Silver Sable and Black Cat movie. They kind of plotted that out a little bit. Of course, that might not be the final plot of the movie, but they mapped it out for what was going to happen, the storyline and all that good stuff, and they mentioned how Kraven the Hunter would be involved in that. I'm definitely excited for this news. 1 or 2 reasons. Number one is we're definitely not going to have a Kraven the Hunter in the MCU. If we did, he would be mediocre, watered down, and not be a real deal Kraven the Hunter. You got to think about the 90s, not X-Men, but Spider-Man cartoon. Kraven the Hunter did not play any games. He was trying to get Spider-Man at about all costs. Even the newer Spider-Man cartoons, Kraven the Hunter is trying to get Spider-Man at all costs, no matter what. So to imagine a Kraven the Hunter in the MCU, it wouldn't have worked. It would have been watered down. But with them wanting to do an R-rated Venom, you can easily throw a menacing, good villain in Kraven in this movie. So, Kevin, what did you think about the Kraven the Hunter add-in for this new Spider-Man Sony universe?
Well, after reading the synopsis for this movie and what they're trying to accomplish, I can understand why they want to go this way. Malcolm, you and I talked about it. If you're going to use people that are in Spider-Man's universe but not use Spider-Man, you damn sure don't want them to be in New York. Okay? There's no way any of these movies in this universe should take place in New York and would be there. However, you want to take these guys to Central America, that's great, because Spider-Man wouldn't be there. Also,
right.
You have to look at Kraven. Kraven's a world traveler. He hunts game, and he's the person that you want, like you said. The whole thing about putting Kraven in there would be so Kraven could stand up in a Venom movie. Because if you put Kraven in a movie with Venom and it's rated R, and he can hunt and do this and that or whatever, now you're creating something that people want to see and creating that whole side of that universe. So I still believe everything they're building up is they're building it up so when Tom Holland comes home, to and move with Batman, that's what's going to happen. But until we get to that point, I like the addition of Kraven the Hunter to this little universe thing they're doing. I'm still not a fan of them doing this little universe.
So first, I kind of need to ask about, I know Black Cat, matter of fact, that's a sexy costume. Props to the cosplayers that wear Black Cat costumes. Always love them at conventions. I know who she is as a character. I don't know who Silver Sable is. Do you know anything about her?
Silver Sable, I remember she was in the original cartoon, but I can't really remember her to the T. Let me look her up real quick.
And that's the same for me, man. While you're checking that out, just about a second, I am pretty familiar with the Spider-Man canon and the characters surrounding them, but I could not think of who Silver Sable is. I should have asked.
Silver Sable was a mercenary in the show, in the comic book. So she went along. Okay, now that I'm seeing a picture of her, she went along with Kraven when it came for hunting and stuff like that. So she was a mercenary.
Is she a villain?
I wouldn't necessarily say full on villain. But she was that one that pops up and helped Spider-Man if something was going on, and then went back to her, her own motives later.
So yeah, I could definitely see the appeal of a Black Cat Silver Sable movie. I mean, so much of it obviously is going to depend on the casting. Kraven the Hunter, fantastic character. I've heard kind of rumors and rumblings of that for quite some time because among Spider-Man fans, he's one of the favorite villains because he's ruthless and he's a game hunter and he's straight up willing to kill Peter Parker basically just to accomplish it, which is pretty cool. I kind of echoing what Kevin said about it's good news. I like the characters that we're referring to, but I still just don't get it. I don't understand how it's going to work. I'm excited about the Venom movie because Tom Hardy's in it, so we'll see how the casting goes on these next ones. But it's making my brain hurt trying to even figure it out, man. I have no idea what they're planning on doing.
Right. So one thing we want to jump on next to, we're going to keep on moving, is Animaniacs. Animaniacs is coming back. Steven Spielberg says he is bringing Yakko, Wacko, and Dot back to TV. Now, most people will call this a reboot. I don't look at this as a reboot. I look at this as Steven Spielberg, and because of the respect I have for him, putting his show back on TV. I mean, that's just my take on it. He's putting it back on TV. Now, one thing that I know we were all talking about earlier is where it's going to have to go, because some of the jokes and taglines in Animaniacs were not all for kids. Nowhere near for kids. How do you do that thing with your mouth? That's not going to fly on Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. And Hello Nurse is not a joke. It's saying hello to the nurse. So, Jeremy, what's your thoughts about Animaniacs coming back?
I'm sitting here looking at the article right now, wondering, is it going to be traditional 2D animation?
I haven't seen what type of animation is going to be yet.
That's something that I'd be curious to know. I am in love with traditional 2D animation. I love the look of Animaniacs and how it borrows so heavily from Disney. Obviously, Amblin was a division of Disney at the time. You're right, dude. It had some very, very suggestive innuendos and implications through the show, and I think kids and adults can get a lot out of it just because it was funny as hell, even for a kid's cartoon. And you can go back and watch it, and it still holds up. There's all this good music throughout it, and yeah, the nurse gag, she looks like Jessica Rabbit or whatever, just this very voluptuous character. So I'm pretty sure we are in a place with parody and with entertainment where they will be able to keep all of that stuff. However, I also think that parents are going to be much more reactionary to it. and go on Twitter and complain, and we'll hear a lot more of the controversy. But for the most part, it was pretty safe. But, man, one of my all-time favorite cartoons, Wacko, Yakko, and Dot, I think is what the names were. And you remember the song Particle Man?
I don't.
Oh, man, it's so good. It's so good. There was this one episode that has just multiple songs throughout it. I'll have to shoot you a link. But, yeah, I'm stoked about it. Did you watch it a bunch growing up?
I did. I loved Animaniacs. I was all glued into Animaniacs. Tiny Toons,
Yeah.
Tiny Toons, Pinky and the Brain. Because what I said in my reaction video was, if we get an Animaniacs back, can we please get back? Can we get back Pinky and the Brain? Can we bring that back?
Pinky and the Brain was a segment, wasn't it?
Exactly. It was a segment inside of Animaniacs. So that hasn't been any talks about Pinky and the Brain. So I wonder what they're going to do with that.
We're going to take over the world like we always do.
Exactly. Kevin, what's your take? What's your take on Animaniacs coming back to television?
Man, I love it. I think it's great. Sorry for jumping off the call. I think it was Abby Arad that did that because he didn't like what I had to say about Spider-Man. Anyway, I think that it's going to be really cool to have them back. I think there's so much social commentary that they can comment on and so many things they can do and so many new segments that they can bring to the table along with the old ones. I'm looking forward to it. So I think it's a great, great movie.
That's a good point, that you can really go more topical with it. I mean, technology's changed a lot since then. Something I mentioned to Malcolm just a minute ago is I'm really curious if they're going to go traditional 2D animation or if they're going to try to do like the Peanuts thing and computer-generated images, go CGI with it. But I would way rather it be the old-school 2D animation.
Me too.
Exactly.
Me too.
Exactly. The last time we're going to talk about today is a hilarious trailer that I saw for a movie that I really think I'm actually going to see because I like certain slapstick comedy movies. I'm a big Will Ferrell fan, and this movie that we're getting ready to talk about totally reminds me of Talladega Nights, The Ballad of Ricky Bobby. Lucky Logan. Now, when you see this cast, it makes you think, who is this casting director that pulled these people together? Because you look at the type of movie it is, you look at the comedy aspect, but you look at who's in the movie. Let's just go down the list real quick. Katie Holmes. What is she doing in this movie? Hilary Swank. What is she doing in this movie? Then we have something that I want to see. And I know we live in a superhero world, and there's the real world, and there's the movie world. But you have Gambit, Bucky, James Bond, and Kylo Ren in one movie.
No joke. When you say it like that.
You got those four in this movie. Gambit, Kylo Ren, Bucky, and I'm missing one again, James Bond, in one movie. So we're getting this. I knew that Adam Driver had comedic presence, especially when I saw him on Saturday Night Live. We already know that Channing Tatum has comedic presence. Sebastian Stan. This is the first time out. Well, he has a comedic presence. We've seen him, get a good laugh in the Civil War and previous other movies he's done. But to see Daniel Craig in this light, oh man. It was freaking hilarious to see him literally go so far out of James Bond. And I looked up his movies, and a lot of his movies were James Bond-type movies. And I feel like in the credits, that's what they say, in introducing Daniel Craig, because he's literally being introduced into a different world that's outside of the movies that he does. So what did you think when you saw this trailer?
Dude, first of all, Steven Soderbergh, the director, when we were going down the list of actors, which is an incredibly impressive ensemble cast, but the director has done dozens and dozens of noteworthy movies, including Ocean's 11, 12. He did Traffic. He did, Magic Mike. He did We Need to Talk About, these are movies he produced. But anyways, the dude has done so many good movies. man, I'm going to whiff trying to think of the names of them. Check him out on IMDb. The dude is an incredible director, and I've never really seen him do a movie like this. It does have a similar vibe to the Ocean's movie because it's a heist, which I freaking love heist movies. That's one of my favorite genres. Daniel Craig does look hilarious in it, dude. Like you said, he probably steals the entire trailer just because it's such a different performance for him. Catherine Waterston is blowing up. They're trying to make her like a big thing. You know, she was in Fantastic Beasts. She was in Alien Covenant. Now she's in this. So she's just popping up a whole lot. But it has a Coen Brothers vibe to it, kind of a comedy of errors kind of thing. I don't know how dark it's going to get, but I'd imagine it's going to be a little more subversive than the trailers let on. I think it's going to be a little more dark and a little more edgy, but still have that comedic element to it, like Burn After Reading or even Fargo or something like that.
That's the most definitely. So I'm excited for this movie. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm actually going to go see it. This is the first off-kilter non-superhero movie that I did. You know, Pirates of the Caribbean came out. I'm not big on that. I didn't go see it. You know, a lot of other movies have come out. I didn't go see them. But I'm definitely going to go see this. I'm definitely going to see Wonder Woman tomorrow night, and I'm definitely going to be in the theaters watching Captain Underpants on Sunday. So
there you go.
My word. I will be watching Captain Underpants. I grew up reading the Captain Underpants books. I love Captain Underpants, so that's definitely something I'll be seeing. So, guys, check out the review for that. But we're going to go ahead and end this today, guys. We do thank you for joining us today, and we really appreciate it as you join us each and every single week. But, Jeremy, what's going on over there at Be Terrible Production?
Keep an eye out for Movie Monsters being released on Fridays every day. It'll at least be out by 2 p.m. A lot of times I drop them at about 8 a.m., so make sure that you are subscribed to Be Terrible Movies over on YouTube so that you can get updated every time I drop new content. Jeremy Be Terrible on Twitter and Instagram. Sorry about a little bit of the technical difficulties we had today. Still much love. Thank you guys for stopping by and checking it out. This is Fandom Talk. Spread the word. Get it out there. Share it with your friends. Everybody should be listening to it. And until next week, Jeremy Branch signing off.
Most definitely, guys. And don't forget to check out Kevin over there, host of photography. Kevin dropped off. Like I said, we had a little technical difficulties today. But if you don't know who we are, we're Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMS, ANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. Come follow us here on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the notification bell for future videos. Also, go over there to Facebook, join the Facebook group for future discussions, and also head over to the Facebook fan page and hit the like button. Go over there to Instagram where we're at Fandoms_Anonymous17, and over there to Twitter where we're at Anonymous_Fan17. Got a lot of stuff coming up for you guys. Don't forget to take a look at it. And as I always say, if there is anything else, thanks for watching, and have a good one.
Fandoms Anonymous.